Hey guys, good morning. This morning, we are going to talk about how to construct a major chord, minor chord, diminished chord, and an augmented chord. And we're going to talk about the notes that are in those chords, and we're going to talk about how it can be helpful for you. While you're learning chords. Yesterday, we talked about um, what did we talk about? We talked about intervals, we talked about whole steps and half steps, and we talked about how to make a major scale. And so you'll need to know a little bit of that stuff in order to construct these chords. But I will. I'm going to try to make it pretty simple. And what you can use this for is you can use it to actually figure out what notes you're playing when you're playing chords, because a lot of times with guitar, we are just taught, okay, this is the pattern you play, this is how you form the chord, but we don't actually know what notes we're playing. If we know what notes we're playing, then we can take what we learned today about a major chord and turn it into a minor chord or a diminished chord or an augmented chord, and go from there. So let's start with the major chord. And I think I'm going to do G major for all of our chords. And to begin with, I'm just going to use um, the open E string to make the chord, because I think it's just visually a little bit easier to see. So, um, a major chord is made up of a major third and then on like below a minor third. So you end up with a major third from the root to the third and a perfect fifth from the root to the fifth note. So a root note is just the note that's at the beginning. So G chord, the root note is G. So let's build a G chord. So we're going to find the third and the fifth, and we're going to use what we learned yesterday. So we need a major third, which is two whole steps. So we're going to go from G up one whole step. So remember, a whole step is two half steps, and a half step is just going from one fret to another. So here's a half step, here's a half step. So that's a whole step. So whole step from G to A, and then A to B. So there's our two whole steps. So a G chord would have a G, a B, and then from here, we need to go a minor third, which is 1.5 steps. So we're going to go up one whole step and then a half step. So we would end up on D. So here's our whole step and here's our half step. So a G major chord is made up of G, B, and D. Now we can't play it the way that we just did, so we're going to need to find those chords somewhere else. And normally we end up with something like this, right? So what is this actually made up of? Since we just figured out that a G major chord has G, B, D in it, let's go through the notes of this one. So you've got G here, B here, open D here, G here, B, or depending on where you put your finger. So D if you put your finger down here, or B if you leave it open, and then G. So that's with my finger, not putting my finger down here. So that's a B or a D. All right, so that is a major chord. So you've got um, two whole steps to make that major third, and then 1.5 steps to make that minor third or a perfect fifth, from G to D. So we have a major chord now. So how would we turn that into a minor chord? So with a minor chord, it's kind of flip-flop. So we just constructed a major chord that has a major third and then a minor third. So now to make a minor chord, we're going to do a minor third and a major third. So our minor third, we're going to do 1.5 steps for that minor third. So 1 and then a half. So a G minor chord has a G, a B flat, and then we're going to do a major third, which is 2 steps from this B flat. So 1 and then 2. All right, so it's G, B, D. So to make a minor third, all we're going to do is just flat that third. So here's a major chord, and here's a minor. All right, so to make this diminished, then we're going to flat this fifth as well. All right, so a diminished chord has 2 minor thirds in it. So you would go your 1.5 step, and then you would do 1.5 steps from here. 1. So a diminished chord is going to have a G, a B flat, and a D flat. All right. So an augmented chord would have 2 major thirds. So you're going to do 2 whole steps. So it would be G to B and then B. So we haven't done this one yet. So B to D sharp. So that one would sound something like this. So major, minor, and then we've got augmented, and then diminished. Let's see, the easiest way from this position would be something like, so I put the B out of place from this position. There's not like the easiest way to put that B where it's stacked. So, but that's what a diminished chord sounds like. So you've got major, G, B, D, minor, G, B flat, D, augmented, G, B, D sharp, and then diminish, G, B flat, D, D flat. All right, so that's how you construct major chords. Now tomorrow, and one of the reasons I don't do these with my normal release videos is people ask these questions all the time, but it's really a little boring. So tomorrow we're going to get into what these chords actually do. One of the things that you can use by just knowing how to play the chords, and so say for instance, you don't know how to play a diminished chord, like you've never looked it up, you've never learned that formation. If you know how to play a G, so let's just say you have a G bar chord, and on the bottom, like let's just use this bottom portion. So what I did is I went from the bar chord right here, and then I'm basically just playing this bottom part. So if I know this chord and I know the notes in it, so we've got a G, B, D, G, then I can play a minor by just flatting this B. So there's my minor. All right. I could do an augmented by raising this D like this, or I could do a diminished by flatting the D like this. So from this position, you've got major, minor, diminished, or augmented. All right, now tomorrow we're going to talk about what a major key actually has in it. A major key actually only has major chords, minor chords, and one diminished chord. So anything that you hear outside of that is either a tall chord, so it's like a seventh chord, a ninth chord, an 11th chord, like something stacked on top of each other, or it is borrowed from another key. And we'll talk about a little bit of that tomorrow. So hopefully this helped you learn a little bit about chord formation today. Tomorrow, what you'll really learn is how the notes within a key can relate to each other. So if you are a songwriter, or if you are just learning songs by ear, then this could be beneficial for you to know. Like I said in a video last week, um, some of you as guitarists don't really need to know theory. Like if you're awesome at learning by ear, or you don't mind just learning tab and charts, you don't need a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be teaching. But if you're songwriting, um, if you want to extend or expand the way that you use different chords, or if you're doing a lot of transcription and you just want to get faster at it, um, learning music theory can help you in those areas, because when you're learning by ear, it can help you predict where songs are going a little bit better because you understand the patterns a little bit more. In songwriting, it can just help you break out of um, patterns that you end up getting into based on the music you listen to. Um, so stay tuned for tomorrow, and I'll see you then. If you have any comments, any questions, any requests, leave those in the comments below. And I will be releasing on my channel today, I'll be releasing Time Warp, so be looking for that. And I'm also going to be releasing new shorts every day of my Halloween songs from last year. So be looking out for that stuff as well.